Flawedcast. Flawedcast! Get in the arena.
You ready?
As ready as I'm ever going to be.
Well, I guess with that, we'll just say welcome, everyone, to another hopefully fun-filled episode of Flawedcast. And always, I'm here with my true, bestest, loveliest, loyalist companion, Shandy, and Jason. And
what's up, Will?
Not much. This is going to be an interesting episode, but before we get into it, we just want to thank everybody for the support, for the love. Please make sure you subscribe to us. When you subscribe, especially on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe, ring the bell, get notified. You know, we're everywhere. What are these called? Podcasts. We're everywhere podcasts can be found. iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, everywhere. Like I said, YouTube, Flaweding, Flawedcast, Flawedcast CLE. Please subscribe. Please share, show some love. We are on different social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Parler, Gab. You can get in touch with us, info@flawedinc.com. Our website is flawedinc.com. We have some exciting things. Just did a couple new test t-shirt designs. So hopefully we can roll those out to you sooner than later. And exciting news for those who've been asking, who've been keeping tabs. The final touches of editing my book was completed this last week. So hopefully in the next couple months, that'll be at a internet retailer not close to you. But that being said, we're just gonna kind of wing this one. Not that we don't have anything planned, but just last time you heard from us, the world has drastically changed. And I know that I personally have not been unscathed, and I know a lot of you have also. So I think we just kind of want to talk from the heart, maybe kind of give you our take on things, maybe share how we have been impacted or people we know and love have been impacted. But I want to just say for me personally, I know that coronavirus is real. I know it impacts people. I know it is wreaking havoc on a lot of people, especially those susceptible to it and their loved ones. I'm not insensitive to that. And you have been a regular listener. You know that I am one of those people that are susceptible to this. However, one thing I'm really been pondering, and I've been understanding things on both sides. This is either the worst thing ever, or this is just some kind of governmental conspiracy set up by globalists and Luciferians to engage in eugenics and have population control, blah, 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 blah. I'm honestly somewhere in the middle. I'm probably more to the conspiratorial aspect of it. But that being said, my ultimate question is, are we using a bazooka to kill a mouse? I don't know. So I think that's kind of what we want to discuss.
I don't know if we're ever going to know. What I do know is we'll never know how many lives we saved, but we'll definitely know very soon how many lives we've ruined. The economic impact just in my circle is in excess of $50 million. And I'm talking inside my daily circle of small business owners that I work with, who at this point I have at least 10 businesses that I work with that will never open their doors again. And how long do we have left until the lockdown's over or whatever, the 15 days?
That's one of the other things. I keep hearing different things. I think the President Trump said before he wants to try to get things open by or before Easter, so at that point,
Yeah, and real quick, also, when I tell you they're never going to open their doors, that's not just them. Each one of them employ a minimum of 7 people, okay? So that's minimum 80 people, just minimum of 80 people. And that's just the 10 I'm speaking of, myself.
Well, that doesn't even include the tax revenue that supports first responders, that pays for the people that manage and maintain the road, the teachers. This is a large casted net.
I'm telling you what this is. It's catastrophic. This is not like the recession of 2008 at all. This is 100% more devastating because it's a direct impact on the businesses. The recession of 2008 was a decline in business and the week fell off. This isn't a decline in business. This is the shutting down of thousands and thousands of small businesses, of people who have rolled their 401ks quit their jobs and said, I'm going to be an independent business owner, who now have lost their retirement and their business and have to go back and find work again. And a lot of them are of an age where it's going to be very difficult to find. So this is also going to impact the workforce, meaning when this is all said and done, there's going to be less small business owners, which either is going to increase, it's definitely going to increase unemployment, But what it's also going to do is it's going to take these mid-range to high-range executives that have bought their own business, that no longer are in business, that need to go back and get a job. And how many of the jobs are there? So if you're in the market trying to find a job, it just got more saturated overnight. I mean, this has impacted so many things in a week, 8 days, whatever, however long it's been. This has impacted so many things that we could have a 4.5-hour episode and not even touch them. It is, people have no idea. Everyone's worried about catching the COVID-19, which is, I get it. It's going to kill some people and it sucks. But so does the flu. So does drinking and driving. Well, so does driving, period.
Well, so does this. And I'm not trying to be ultra political, but just in the 11 days since this pandemic has struck, just in the world alone, there's been 117,000 deaths, right? Each day in America alone, 1,700 people are killed by abortion. So if you take the total amount of people killed by COVID-19 globally, and you look at the amount of people in America that have been killed in that time span by abortion, that abortion rate far exceeds that. Point is perspective.
Your point's well taken. However, for those of our listeners who are pro-abortion, which I'm not, but for those that are, that argument's not going to matter to them. So what I'm trying to say is, let's take arguments that will matter to everyone.
Okay.
All right? And those arguments, again, are, how about heart attack? Bill, can you Google how many people have died of heart attacks in the last 11 days? How many people have died of influenza in the last 11 days? How many people have died from car accidents? Well, probably less than the last 11 days because no one's on the road.
Right.
But the amount of people that die from all sorts of things that we don't shut the world down for is in much, much, much greater numbers. Even if you ran this COVID-19 out to its fullest extent of the horror that they think it's going to be, it would be a few million Americans. That's what it would be. Worst case scenario, right, from what everything I've seen. And that is, I get it. That's horrible. But I'm telling you, we're giving up we're very close to giving up our freedoms. You're seeing what the Democrats are pulling. We're teetering on freedoms being given up. We're teetering on martial law. We're teetering on not a recession, folks. We're teetering on a depression. And what brought us out of the last depression, Bill?
World War II.
And does anyone want a war to bring us out of depression?
Well,
because we wouldn't have ever come out of that.
Sure,
that would have been the end of the American society if it wasn't for World War II.
Well, and this is the great fallacy in that, because you're absolutely right, but we've been in a constant state of war since then. We have been in a wartime financial situation ever since that point. We can't ramp up any other wars unless we attack the entire globe to sustain that kind of nationwide economic recovery.
Right.
It's just an impossibility. And I think the bit that you were talking about in regards to losing our civil liberties, knocking on martial law's door, if you will, or maybe martial law knocking on our door, maybe a better way to put that. That's where my main focus is. Because, we talk about this a lot, the idea of fighting tyranny, the idea of establishing our freedoms. And I know where you're coming from, and I 100% agree with you. And like one of our best friends had his company closed due to this. And he's in his, early to mid 40s, and he's been working at this company for years and years and years. And I was talking to him yesterday, like, man, how's the job search going? He goes, where am I going to go to find a job?
Right, you're not going to be hired now.
Right.
Once this is over, we'll see how that goes. But I'm telling you, it's going to be horrible. It's going to be so hard to find jobs, and it's going to actually drive wages down because the
stimulus package
is going to be so large.
And the stimulus package is going to cause inflation to go through the roof.
Right. I mean, this is an utter mess. This is pure and utter mess. I mean, it's absolutely 100% a pure and utter mess.
And the thing that really sickens me, and we were talking about this before, and I'm not trying to be a certain way, but Pelosi and the rest of her cohorts, from what we just heard, for the third time in a row, have stopped the stimulus package. Now, I have mixed opinions of it, but right now, people need help. I love what Ted Cruz said the other day. So what the hell does emissions on jet airliners have to do with getting people back into work, getting small business loans? What the hell does expansion of solar and wind power have to do with this and that? And his point to me is it's politicking. It to me,
100%.
It showcases these aren't, we got to start looking at politicians as our elected employees. And these elected employees are derelict in their duty because they are more concerned about their sustainability than the people they're supposed to be representing.
Well, and I'll say it, the thing that I see is Nancy Pelosi and all her freaking cronies absolutely 100% extorted the American people to get what they wanted.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what just happened. And she's going to get away with it just like the rest of the demo fucks get away with everything. And I'm absolutely sick of it. That's the Clintons. That's all of them. They do whatever they want, and no one will touch them. It's absolutely unbelievable what they do to the American people, how they take from us, how they extort us, how they laugh in our faces about it and become wealthier and wealthier and wealthier. You know, I'm not afraid of the billionaire who becomes a politician. I'm afraid of the politician who becomes a billionaire, multimillionaire. And let me tell you what, we've got at least 40 of those currently sitting in seats in the Congress and the Senate.
Well, I'll say
people who were not millionaires, have been politicians for the whole life, making a couple $100,000 a year, not even that when they started, $100 and some $1,000 a year, and have become multi-millionaires. Now, I make a good living, and I can tell you that doesn't work that way. You don't make that kind of money and become a multi-millionaire unless you own a business or you do something where you can sell it and make great deals of money. You don't just become one overnight. Right? When you make that money gets spent. Right? That's living expenses, isn't that? They go from average people who are elected to multiple homes, multiple freaking everything, vacation homes, millions of dollars, sitting on all sorts of boards, all this shit with Biden and all these guys. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm telling you, I'm so sick of it. And as American people, we better put our foot down because it's not getting any better. And all this pandemic's doing is going to make those top 0.5%, not the 1%ers, the bottom half of those 1%, sorry, but the top 0.5% is going to get wealthier from this. If you have huge money, this is an opportunity to double your wealth.
Well, absolutely.
If you don't have huge money, if you are, and you know, people, trust me when I tell you, people making $250,000 a year, executives and stuff, that's not huge money. Okay, that's a hell of a living, but that's not huge money. I'm talking about people who are making 7 figures plus a year, okay, who have millions and millions of dollars, who have a net worth, let's just say, of $5 million or more.
Who aren't a celebrity or a sports figure or an entrepreneur or, you know.
Well, they could too. They could be part of it too.
But I think what you're highlighting is these people that don't necessarily have a demonstrable skill in that respect that typically, you know, like somebody who, you know, like a LeBron James, of course, this guy's going to be making multi-million dollars a year, not just playing sports, but, you know, in endorsements, so on and so forth. That is a logical.
Right, but I'm saying even people like LeBron, all those people, the LeBrons of the world, everyone, those people who are making that kind of money, who have that kind of money, are going to become extremely wealthy from this.
Oh, well, absolutely.
Okay? When you look at the Depression, that's what built some of the wealthiest families in this country. They were already wealthy. They bought everything up because no one else could. And that's what's going to happen here.
No, you're right. I'm going to give you a history lesson, and I'm going to say two things. One, we have to remember in November, if, you know, the elections in Ohio were postponed, hopefully the election in November won't be postponed, but we have to remember these things. When it comes time to vote, we have to remember these things. And my whole thing would be like the people that are actually working. You know, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. But I will say the Republican caucus, by and large, they didn't take their vacations. They stayed in Washington. They tried to create the stimulus. And then most of the Democrats, you know, there was some bipartisan help, so I'm not going to throw shade on all of them. But most of the Democrats took their recess, they took their vacation, and they came back, and then they shit on the American public by voting the first stimulus down, then the second, then the third, so on and so forth. So we have to remember November. Secondly, the other thing to keep in mind is that this coronavirus was created in a D4 facility in North Carolina under the Obama administration. Whether at that point it was given or sold to the Chinese, we don't know. But this was commissioned under that administration. And Obama gets a pass for multitudes of reasons. But, you know, you're talking about the Clintons, you're talking about the Bidens, you're talking about the Bushes. You know, the Obamas got to be, these people, the Pelosi's, people need to be held to account. I hope we remember November. I hope we realize that. So when Trump says, you know, the Wuhan virus or the Chinese virus, that is what happened. That is
exactly
the fact.
What happened.
But the other thing,
it's not racist, and I'm sick of everyone trying to turn everything into and I shouldn't say everyone, but there are a group of people who try to turn everything into a racist agenda. And it's not racist. It's not racist at all. Just like when you look at the Spanish flu, is that racist?
Right.
Or does that mean that we hate Spanish people? I mean, no, come on, people.
The bird flu.
You just move their agenda anywhere you want to make it fit you. Right. And the people I'm talking to, you know who you are. Right. And if you feel like, if you know that I'm not talking to you, then I'm not. I'm talking to the folks that continue to, it's like all of us know these people, the people that need drama in their life to survive. They just got to constantly be involved in drama. Well, that's these people. These are the people that constantly have to be involved in creating some sort of racist brand on everything that happens. They try to twist it and turn it and pull it until it turns into, until they can roll it out there that it's racist and how racist Trump is and how racist all of Trump's supporters are. Give me an effing break. Look at some factual data for once in your life and see how unracist Trump is.
Well, so here's some historical factual data, and this is why I get so freaked out when I see stuff like this. I don't know if you ever heard of the Rothschilds.
Who hasn't?
You know how they gained their wealth?
Tell us, Bill.
Okay. Here's a history lesson. Don't believe me. Look up in mainline history books. So when the English were fighting the French, Napoleon Wars, the Rothschilds had intelligence agents. There's always been intelligence agents or in agencies. It's just never been as compacted like the CIA, FBI, so on, MI6, so on and so forth. So the Rothschild had independent intelligence agencies that once Napoleon was defeated by the British, the Rothschilds' independent intelligence agents came back and reported to him. And what did they do? Now, these intelligence agents got back to the Rothschilds a full day before the report of the British victory got back to England. So what did the Rothschilds do? They started spreading lies and said, "Oh, Napoleon crushed us. They're on the French are on our way. They're advancing on they're advancing on England." What happened? It turned their stock market upside down. All their stocks were devalued instantly. Lord Rothschild came up, swiped everything up at bottom basement bargain prices. Once the real news hit that Napoleon did in fact lose and that the British did beat them, the stock market flipped overnight. And guess what organization or what family became, at that time, the equivalent of like a Trump or a Bloomberg or, a Buffett, one of these guys, the Rothschilds.
Really?
Yes.
Well, there you go. Dirty politicking.
Right. So, and now is it any surprise that within the last couple months, all these CEOs of all these major corporations, and I'm talking Disney, Nike, all these, and this is mainline news, all these CEOs, not only did they step down, but they sold all their stock. This has been happening. And a lot of politicians have been doing that too. I'm just saying, I know this sounds kind of conspiratorial, but we have to look at the biggest thing, the bigger things. What bothers me in regards to loss of our freedoms, loss of our civil liberties is the fact that just today, as I was reading the news, the mayor of LA said he's going to cut off water and electricity to all non-essential businesses that are remaining open. We have the governor of Illinois, of New York, of Louisiana, a few other states, already talking about gun confiscation, banning the sale, the transport of guns and ammunition, trying to take this Second Amendment right. They're using
our Constitution away from us.
Already, as I look at this with this quote unquote lockdown, our First, Third, and Fourth Amendments are being violated. People. I'm not discounting this as a real thing. This is a biochemically engineered weapon. It's targeting specific groups of people, the elderly, Asians, obviously. It was released in China. The larger thing we need to look at is why now? Why that Hillary server was uncovered and there's subpoenas against her and other people that were found in these things. Why are all the courts now shut down throughout the country? Why are these things, why? We need to start thinking, it's great to Netflix and chill for a weekend. But you know what? President Trump said the cure might be more deadly than the disease. During the Great Depression, I've been really doing a lot of studying this. We got to realize that millions and millions and millions of people died, not from disease, although some did die, but they died from starvation. And you have to look at that
from the elements.
The elements, 90% of the people lived in rural areas at that time. And also the large swath of people were self-sufficient. They were farmers. They were, they could hunt. They could provide for themselves. Now, 90% of the people live in urbanized area and less than 5% of us are self-reliant. If we look at this on a basic economic level, like you're talking about, this is going to be catastrophic. What is happening now, and I'm not trying to be an alarmist. I'm hopefully more like a Paul Revere and just try to think what could happen if is, I think, far more devastating than the potential of COVID-19. We literally could be looking at this dystopic, apocalyptic films that are so popular now. I go on a walk every morning. I look at my neighborhood. I live in a good neighborhood. I live in a decent middle upper class neighborhood. There's kids everywhere normally. People have their garage doors open. They're tinkering with their cars, mowing their lawn, blah, 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 whatever. The last 2 weeks almost, it's been like Walking Dead.
Well, this is the part that kills me as you're talking about this, Bill, is everyone keeps focusing on, oh yeah, man, all these companies and there's all these rules put in place where you can't be evicted for the next 90 days or you can't have your power or utilities shut off for like the next 90 days for non-payment, all this stuff. Let me ask you a question, folks. Do you think after 90 days, after this thing, let's just say it does wrap up in 90 days, that all of a sudden everyone's back to normal? No, you can't catch up on those bills, and you're going to be lucky if you have a job to pay those bills, okay? Not just catch up, but continue paying them. What do? The majority of Americans don't have 15 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever $1,000 in a bank to survive losing their job and not working for 2 months or 3 months or 4 months or 5 months. And what did I just get done saying earlier? The job market's going to be absolutely saturated. I've read at least 4 articles on LinkedIn about that, about how it's saying if you're hunting for jobs now, don't say, oh, I'm just going to blow it off right now, no one's hiring. They're like, no, you need to keep looking because basically the market's about to get saturated with people looking for jobs. So you better continue to be out there and hold your place in line, if you will. It's not the time to bail out of that job search. Folks, I am telling you, I'm really not trying to scare anyone. What I'm trying to do is say you better start thinking that when this is over, we're going to have serious economic problems. And if you're all banking on this stimulus package helping you out, that $1,200 doesn't even pay most people's mortgage. That's great. Doesn't even pay most people's mortgage. Okay, so if you're a family, you get like $2,400. Awesome, $500 per kid. Okay, now you're at $3,000 or $4,000. What's that going to get you through a month? I've got at least, before when I was talking about my circle, I was talking about businesses and business owners. Now I'm talking about personal friends and individuals. Quick count: 17 people in my immediate circle people that I would be in contact with, my closest friends, good friends. If that makes sense. It's a two-level circle. If that makes sense, right? I've got at least 17 people just in my immediate. I'm talking really small version of that, not a big version of it, really small version of that, who are like independent contractors, such as like hairdressers, if you will, or barbers. Things like that, who aren't getting paid for anything.
They can't work. Just in what, and I know a lot of these people because a lot of these people are mutual friends.
Right.
Barbershop salons are closed. Any place that has any kind of a service is basically closed. Retail stores are being closed that aren't considered grocery stores or like
well, and this thing, those that are open still. Okay, so I've got friends who are roofers, right, and painters and stuff who can still do some work. Right. It's going to be on a much lower level than it was, right, volume-wise than it was. But yeah, man, they're still able to collect a few bucks and hopefully scrape by. This is the problem. Again, when this 90 days is up, you think there's going to be demand for getting your house painted?
No, because people aren't
going to have any money.
Right.
You think people are going to go spend? You think the women are going to go spend $100 every whatever it is,
3 weeks?
Well, it's a little longer than that. I would say every 4 to 6 weeks to get their hair colored and all this stuff, however long it is. No. Right? They're not going to be able to afford to do it.
People are going to be driving around with the rust or the dent in their car. So that whole industry and
all these
because it's more important to put fridge in the food in the fridge and lights on,
absolutely,
than it is to say I got a dent in my fender that doesn't affect the operation. It just affects.
Right. Well, they're going to be fighting to put food in the fridge. Period. And they're going to be fighting to do that. If you guys haven't watched the Cinderella Man, or Cinderella Story, what's it called? With Russell Crowe, Cinderella Man.
Well, Cinderella Man. And that was during the Great Depression. That was during the Great Depression. It's like the grapes of wrath.
They struggled. Right. Watch what he had to do. Again, I was talking about the deployment thing. Watch what he had to do. They all ran to the docks, and there was hundreds of them standing out there, and they'd pick 5 people to work each day.
Right. Well, and the other thing is we need to realize during the rise of the Great Depression, there was also the rise of great crime syndication, right?
100%.
Bonnie and Clyde. We're talking about this is the rise of Al Capone. This is also the rise of...
What did the government do? The government said, we got to protect the people. No one can drink because people are becoming drunkards because they're depressed as all hell. That's why they call it the Depression. And they're becoming drunk and this and that. So this is where the whole prohibition came from.
Right. And this is where like the Kennedys made all their money.
The government protecting the the society. And what happened? We get all, like you said, the crime syndicates.
Right.
And not only that, but because our country was so poor and so focused on how the hell do we get out of this, what happened in the rest of the world? That's where Hitler rose and all that other bullshit started happening. Communism took off all over the place. This is why our country does what it does today. This is why our country's all over the world trying to keep that stuff at a smaller level. We can't change the world, and we're not trying to take over the countries, but we are trying to keep it so that no Adolf Hitlers come back again who can absolutely annihilate races and take over multiple countries and start a world war.
No, exactly, and that's exactly right. You're right, and that's why when I see mandatory lockdown, stay at home, this and that, right? I get the health benefit of that. Flattening the curve, as they call it. However, what my mind automatically echoes down to is the fact that I know my Constitution. I've read it many, many times. I know history. We've lived through some of it. We've studied it in our textbooks in school, and we realize that what's going on, we are on the precipice of a perfect political, economical, social, and even spiritual bankruptcy that could.
We're right there. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but man, we are inching closer to it every day.
So this is what I like to do right now, and I don't know, I'm not an expert. I can say a couple things because I don't want to just beat people down and leave people desperate and in hope, because quite frankly, my head, I don't want to speak for you.
There is hope. Don't be a sheeple.
Well, no, exactly. My head's been in a bad neighborhood, but here's the thing. I literally have my friends from all over the country call me and text me and get in touch with me. What do I do? What do I do? A lot of things that you've been telling me for the last couple of years are starting to come to pass. And I'm not saying that because I need a pat on my back, but what I'm saying is because we do have hope. And I've been telling everybody these couple things. First and foremost, get right with God, get in your scripture, read the Bible. The second thing I've been telling people, get a copy of the Constitution. Read the Constitution. Know the Bill of Rights. Know what your rights are. Because if you don't know what your rights are, they're going to get violated and you're not going to say anything. If you know that you have a protected right of, like we talk about Second Amendment all the time. You know that you have a right to protect yourself. You aren't going to so easily allow that right to be violated. So get right with God. Read the scriptures. Get the Constitution, understand what that says, specifically the Bill of Rights. The other thing I've been really trying to tell people, and I know you and we've been doing this for a while, but I think right now, like even with our friends, like Friday night, we had one of our lifelong best friends come over. We had a great time, but we also were talking and saying, listen, if you need anything, call me. I can help.
With that said, we never got within 6 feet of each other when we were outside.
No, we were making
social distancing.
Swap and spit. But you have a community. You have people that are going to watch your back and you're going to watch their back. You got to start relying on those people. You got to start building those networks and realize that Jason's right. You think a $1,200 check's going to save your bacon. It's not. What's going to save your bacon is the people that are in your life. Now, they may not have, like Jason said, $30,000, $40,000 in the bank, but you know what? Maybe if you're hungry, they got some extra food in the pantry they can loan you. And that's going to help sustain you. Maybe if you run out of toilet paper, they have a couple extra rows. They can say, hey, and I know that might sound absolutely ridiculous to say that way, but this is where we're at. If we don't come together, if we don't put the politicking aside, and I know we've been calling out people, but to me right now, the government is just a base thing. Because as much as the Democrats are politicking, in my opinion, and I'm going to hear about this, in my opinion, the Republicans are being a bunch of knee-jerk wimps. They need to stand up and call these people out. Well, you got to have proper decorum. No, this is not the time for that. This is the time to call out and say what Pelosi and what her lemmings are doing is wrong. Your interests don't lie within the American public. It is self-serving, and that's the nicest thing I can say. But there is hope. We can get together. We can get through this. It may take some ingenuity, reinventing yourself, trying to look at new ways to create new business. Quite frankly, if I were in a position, what I would want to do is start opening factories that created medical supplies, that created medicine. Well,
that's going to happen, Bill. That's going to happen by the people that have $5 million plus in the bank. That's what I'm saying. The wealthier are going to get wealthier, and what's going to happen is they're going to take the folks that can't find a job and pay them shit money to do stuff, and we are headed backwards. We are heading backwards in this country right now because of this. And I'm not trying to sound doom and gloom. I'm waiting. I want someone to call me and tell me how I'm wrong or how this is going to be turned around. Give me some factual data on how we actually survive this economically, because I don't see it. When I say we, I mean the everyday person. I'm not talking about the wealthy. I know the wealthy are going to survive it. How are the everyday people going to survive this? The ones who, how are they going to keep their house? How are they going to feed their kids? You're worried about, oh man. man, I can go on for days.
No.
I don't see how
this is not going to be
80%, I'll say, of the American people, maybe 75%, just because there are going to be some industries, such as healthcare and whatnot, that are going to be good for a while anyway. But there's going to be 75% of Americans who are going to be totally fucked. I'm just telling you. I don't see how, even if it ended today, we can rebound from this. People can't make the payments that they have. I know I can't. I don't know. I mean, I've got, anyone who loses their job, you got a couple of months. It loses your revenue, whatever you want to call it, your income. However, doesn't matter if you're a business owner or an employee, it doesn't matter. You got a couple months to be able to be at 100% again, as far as your financial situation, or you're completely screwed. And I don't see how the majority of Americans are back to 100% financially in a couple of months. You can't stop the economy. You can't stop the presses on something that is as vulnerable as our economy. Again, it's not vulnerable for the top 0.5%, but it is vulnerable for the majority of the majority of our country. About 80% of people live paycheck to paycheck, or live within 1 month. Maybe they have a month of savings that they can sneak through. Maybe.
Well, isn't it amazing? And this is one of these things, the other things I've been thinking about isn't it amazing? Literally, we had record unemployment. We had the best economy that America's ever had. And within the span of less than 2 weeks, that's all gone out the door.
Gone.
These are the things I look at, and when people call me a conspiracy theorist, that's fine. Do that all you want. But what I would prefer to say is I'm just looking at these things logically.
It's a lot of coincidences.
Thank you.
Way too many coincidences.
Thank you. Now, and once again,
if you can just explain to me the CEOs that have stepped down, if someone could just call us, email us, explain to me, just explain that, okay? If you can just explain that, I would be very thankful, because I'm still scratching my head on what exactly that means. And you know what? People are ignoring it because it's so far out there. I think most people don't even believe it. I think most people think it's a hoax.
No. You're right. Well,
because it's so far out there. What? No.
And I saw a post the other day, and it said this is the only time that you can stay at home, Netflix and chill and save the world. And I just read that.
And in 2 months you can't even afford your $17 a month Netflix.
And what for me, it harkens back to the last time we had a cigar, which was literally 3 days before the shit hit the fan. And what did that guy tell us? That his best friend told him, I just want the government to take care of everything. I don't want to worry about anything. I want to work and have, and all this stuff is so Orwellian.
You know what? I'm going to put this to, when you say, hey, I just want someone to take care of me. Well, let me tell you what bad comes with that. They can do everything and anything they want. They're going to take care of you the way you're going to take care of you, okay? Mm-hmm. It works just like this in business. All right. When you're a business owner and you work really hard in your business, your business prospers. As soon as you say, I'm going to pay someone else to run my business and I'm going to go sit on the beach, that someone else is not vested in your business. They don't care the way you care. They're there for a paycheck. And what happens typically is the business goes down. Okay. It will never be as viable as it would be as if you were running it. It's the same thing with your life, folks. Mm-hmm. Don't let the government take over your life and tell you what you can do and what you can't do. If you think that's going to be good, open up a history book.
Well,
it's called socialism.
And this is also Orwellian. And, really, you're starting to see the mainstream media as the ministry of truth. Trump has become a veritable Goldstein figure, and I think it's, the idea of everything, not to give the plot away if you've not read 1984, Winston Smith is the main protagonist, but they eventually beat him down. If you ever hear the 2 + 2 is 5, that's what it's indicative of that, right? They're trying to change understanding and perception of reality. My advice is this: get right with God. And I understand what Jason is saying, and I agree with it. And I had a conversation with someone 3 nights ago, and I said, listen, man, the best thing you do is get right with God, because in the end, everything is temporal. If you go against your conscience, if you go against God, that's going to have eternal ramification. And honestly, I know this is a hard pill to swallow, and trust me, we're all in this boat together. It's better to lose everything here, yet gain, Jesus said, what is the profit of man to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his soul? Understand Jason's talking about being screwed over. Understand the Constitution. Understand the rules that are governant of our country.
And
that
get
we
in
can
the arena with it.
Exactly.
Use those tools to get in the arena and quit letting politicians take from us and take from us and take from us.
I just don't see, and I'm sorry, and I know that and there's people that are working in the health industry, they work in the medical industry, and I know I'm going to get crap from them, and that's okay. If someone can explain to me, and I'm somebody who is I've had a kidney transplant, I'm on immunosuppressants, I'm very much at risk, but you know what? I am more afraid of losing my civil liberties than I am of catching this disease.
Let me ask you something, Bill. How many Americans do you think died for these civil liberties?
I can't countless.
Revolution, civil,
millions.
World War I,
right.
World War II.
Yeah.
If you just
even the civil rights movement, we can even put that there. You know,
all right?
I mean,
and again, now we're saying, you know what? Those people all died for us to have this, but fuck that. We're gonna lose it all so that no one dies of COVID-19. It's okay if you go to war and die for our liberties, but it's not okay. But it doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand.
Where was the panic for swine flu? Where was the panic for H1N1? Where was the panic for the, and here's the thing, we have the bubonic plague running rampant in America because our borders were wide open. We have typhoid. I mean, these are things that we had there's these other diseases that are now starting to become on the rise because, listen, my hope for you and what I want to say to leave you with is get right with God. Understand what's in the scripture. Understand a lot of this is foretold. We already see in that bill that Pelosi wants to add a digital currency. This, I know episode number 8, we talk about the mark of the beast. We talk about those kind of things. To me, I look at this stuff and I look at it through the lens of prophetic things that were foretold in the scripture. And there's also, Bill Gates, they have a vaccine already. That scares me up. But there's also the idea of, a digital quote unquote tattoo. Now, once you're supposed to get this, what they want is once you get the virus or the vaccine for coronavirus, you're going to get this digital tattoo, and it's going to, monitor that you've had it, monitor your location, making sure that you're practicing.
Don't get that, okay?
Don't do that. You know what? I have what I heard this definition the other day of something, and it really struck a chord with me, and I want to share it with you. It's a term. It's called social malaise. Okay, and what a social malaise is, it's a feeling of discomfort and discontent that cannot always be explained. And right now, that's what I got. I got social malaise. I have no idea what these things, 2 + 2 is 4. And I feel like what our media, what a lot of these medical, quote unquote, medical leaders in the medical field are telling us, what these politicians are telling us is that 2 + 2 = 5. I'm not buying it right now. I'm sorry. My friends that are, on the front line, I thank them that they're nurses, that they're doctors, that they're doing what they do to help people and the human life. We value that so much in America, where I know in China, where this originated, they don't value life like we do. But valued life is a holistic approach. And if we are, we're having loved ones that are losing their businesses, that are, that are unemployed and they're starving.
Well, Bill, what you just said is great because it's how I was trying to explain things. So it is a holistic approach. And what we said in the past was our freedoms, our liberties are more important than any one individual's life. Now we're saying that individual life is more important than our civil liberties and our freedom. And I don't understand the flop in that, the switch in that. And again, I'm not trying to be hurtful to anyone. I don't want anyone to die ever. Of course I don't.
At least not in this manner.
People in any manner. I don't want people to die.
Death is guaranteed to us all.
I don't want people to die in car accidents. I have 5 children. Okay, I've got parents and in-laws. I don't want anyone to die. I've got friends like you, Bill, who are in the highest risk of risk, and that scares me. And they have opportunities to stay at home. My parents should stay at home and not go anywhere.
Yes.
And we could bring them stuff. But to say that, hey, we're going to give up all of our liberties and we're going to give up everything we've built in this country to save as many people as possible, where on the other side we say, hey, we're fine with giving up human life of our citizens to keep our way of life? I'm confused. I don't understand. We fight and let people die for one side, and then we give it all up so that people don't die.
Right.
From this. I'm having a hard time. And again, maybe someone explains to me. I don't want you to get mad at me. I'm just telling you truthfully how I feel. I'm open to hear from you. Again, I don't want anyone to die, and I understand how scary it is, but there's a huge impact, I think, that people just don't understand. The repercussion from this, I hear, just stay home, it'll end. Just stay home. No, it's not going to end, folks.
No, because there's going to be...
COVID's going to end.
there's going to be, after COVID, there's going to be something else.
The fallout is
there's going to be something
immense,
else.
though.
There's going to be something else, and it's social conditioning. And
The economic fallout, though, don't even worry about something else. The economic fallout is going to crush the average American. I'm telling you right now.
And these are the things that
I just can't believe what's happening.
And I think what you're saying is it's so important to consider. So I would
look at a third world country, folks.
Well,
you know, we had the conversation about charity water and talked about that. One of the things we talked about is how these kids, usually girls, who didn't get to go to school so that they can walk miles to get dirty water and carry the dirty water miles back. That was what their day was spent doing. Okay? That's what we're talking about. Is that, and again, I know there's so many folks who are going to listen and just be like, that's hogwash. That'll never happen. If you think they can just print money and that doesn't have an impact, folks, you're crazy. All right? It's not how it works.
Well,
you can't just keep printing money.
I don't think people understand inflation.
They don't understand inflation. They don't understand currency. They don't understand how
during
the bank works. During
World War II.
Why can't I think here? The Federal Reserve works.
Yeah.
Okay, and by the way, who's the Federal Reserve? A lot of people don't know that either. Look it up.
The Federal Reserve is an independent agency.
It's not by the government?
It's not government. It's
yeah.
No.
A lot of people don't know that. There's a lot of things. I'm telling you, folks, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Shit's about to hit the fan, and I think we went too far already. I don't know that there's a recovery at this point. I hope to God there is. Well,
that's like you hear at the beginning of World War II. During World War II, people would have wheelbarrows full of cash. They couldn't even buy a loaf of bread. Folks, that's inflation, right? You can go right down to the corner store, normally buy a bread for $1.50, right? What are you going to do when you have a wheelbarrow full of Benjis and you can't buy milk and bread?
What's happening in Venezuela right now?
Well, they don't have pets anymore.
Yeah, not only that, but what's floating around the roads? What's all over
the cash?
Streets?
Oh no, they're literally they're
all over.
Yeah.
They're burning it.
Right.
They're using it for toilet paper, folks. That's what you're going to use for toilet paper.
Well, and that's in the Democrats and part. What Pelosi wants to put in the stimulus bill is a digital currency. Listen, get your Bible, read the Scripture, get the Constitution, understand what our laws that protect us are. I'm not saying that this isn't real. Jason's not saying that this isn't real. Like he said, if you're in that demographic that you are susceptible, please use caution. If you have people that you love that are in your circle that are in those demographics, please use caution. Take the precautionary steps to not only ensure their health, but ensure your health. But don't let this control our lives.
Well, listen, get on the phone, start emailing, call the president, call your senators, call your congresspeople, get to the damn ballot box in November, vote these psychos out of office. Yeah. We have the ability to change. We need to get in the arena and make the change happen. I am telling you, if we continue in the path we're continuing on with the people we have running this country, I'm telling you what, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, trust me, folks, I'm not bullshitting you.
Right. Well, we watched Red Dawn the other night together. And I'm reading the beginning, they're talking about stock market crashed, disease, this, and, I'm like, wow. I'm like, oh my God. Like this, it's almost prophetic in a sense. But, the other thing is that I just wanted to say in regards to what, Jason's saying is that it's so true. It's like Jason owns a business and he has employees. And if the employees aren't functioning, if they aren't fulfilling their job, he would have to let them go. Please remember that politicians are our employees. We elect them to represent us.
And they are rewarded handsomely. I don't just mean their salary. I mean
the fringe benefits, their free travel, free. Yeah,
but it's not free once they're gone. They get literally. You only have to serve one term, and you get retirement. You get medical. It's ridiculous.
You get protection, round the clock protection.
I'm gonna put a stop to it, folks.
And I think with that,
take our country back.
Listen, we're gonna put a period on this because I feel like we could just keep going on. What I want to say, and I'm gonna get, obviously Jason has some closing things. I can't encourage you enough. Get right with God. Get your Bible, get in there, understand what's going on. A lot of this has already been foretold. Read the Constitution. If you don't read all the amendments, that's fine. Read the Bill of Rights. We have episode, 5 and 6, I believe. Right? We talk about the Bill of Rights. It'll take you an hour and a half of your time to listen to those. We talk about them. I've had friends that are lawyers say that you expound excellently on them. Check those out if you don't want to read the entire thing. Build a community. Check in on your neighbors. Check in on your loved ones. Use common sense. Wash your damn hands. But don't lose sight of the fact that our civil liberties and that like Jason said, what people have given their life to protect, to prolong, and to continue on is literally at risk.
Peace.